As you can see in my picture, I have my sketch of my animal and what I want my animal to be. One of the things that I plan on doing is having my pinch pot that is a slightly different shape to help create the head. So when I pinched in the pinch pot forms, I actually pushed out more and up in that direction so that it would create a new shape as the head. I also have the option of trying to make that and slipping scoring it on. Once my pinch pot is ready to be attached, and I hopefully was able to give it a day to dry and firm up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and use my cross-hatching lines, and I'm going to score my clay. This means that I go in one direction and then I do it a second time in a different direction. Once I have done it to one of the pinch pots, I'm now going to pick up the opposite pinch pot and I'm going to do it again. Notice that I am using my ridged or toothed metal rib because this is going to give me a lot of places that scratch the surface at the same time, making it easier and faster for me to complete. Then I'm going to take my slip. I'm going to make sure to get the really gooey part of my slip, and I am going to go around both sides of the pinch pot and I'm going to attach them. As I smush them together, I am going to notice that a little bit of the slip oozes out, but I'm trying not to deform my actual shape. From this point, what I can do is I can actually notice that sometimes my clay, because I seamed the two of these together, I might be able to just smooth them across. However, if I notice there's a dip in that section, I might take some plastic clay, create a small coil, and put this into that little divot or dip. From here, I will smooth it to both the left and the right side, allowing me to get rid of this extra little dent because I want it to all be the same smooth level. Because I rolled out the clay, I compressed it, and that was the same as wedging it, and I won't need to wedge that clay or worry about air pockets. There's already slip inside this groove, so I don't have to worry about that either. Once my two pinch pots have been made and put together, I'm going to start putting on my appendixes or my appendages that go to my animal. This is the type of characteristics that are going to make my animal clearly defined. So in this part of the video, you see me making like a little eyeball. I actually indented the clay a little bit and sunk the eyeball down into it, and then used a little bit of a coil to try and reinforce it. I also made a coil of clay and shaped to make a beak, and I'm going to attach that. This one I'm going to make sure I slip and score as I go to attach it. I even might make creases or indents with different tools that are at my table to create textures. So I tried to make it look like I have a top beak and a lower beak. One last thing I did was anywhere that I am attaching things, I'm reinforcing with a coil of clay. It's hard to see because my video has my hands cropped out a little bit, but I take a tiny little roll of clay and I actually go around the beak and smooth it in to help enforce it after I slipped and scored. Then I'm going to continue doing things like the wings and the tail. You need to be very, very careful about anything that sticks too far out from the body, as items that are further out from the body dry, they dry faster than the items next to the body, which means that they may very, very likely to break off because they've dried at a different rate than everything else. So when I attach my wings, you're going to notice that I put them as close as possible to the body and touch the body as much as I can. So I'm almost tucking the wings back. I don't want to have a bird with its wings out like it is in the middle of flight. Instead, I'm choosing to make my bird like he's sitting on a branch because I know that I'm going to be more successful. Also notice that one of the tricks I used was that if I have two things that I want to be the same shape or size, before I attach them, I make sure that I make both of them. I wanted to make sure that my wings were really nice and thick so that they don't break off very easily. So I actually created a slab for my wings because of that. You can also make them with things like coils. I'm going through with my different tools and I'm starting to add texture. I'm thinking about layers. I'm going to have to attach these wings before I ever attach anything else. Notice how I marked where the tail is going to attach so I knew where to slip and score, and I just barely marked onto the clay to do that. Then, because this clay is still plastic, after I slipped and scored, I was able to smooth it right up into the body. Then I went back and touched up my texture a little bit. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the wings. I'm going to go through, I'm going to add those in by slipping and scoring, and I'm going to tuck them back onto the bird as much as I possibly can. Now that I have some different parts of my bird actually attached, I'm going to be able to figure out a place to hide the vent hole. Remember, there must be a way for the air to escape. So I'm going to take my little needle tool and I'm just going to poke a hole into the big open area, but I did this underneath the tail so it would be hidden. Now, before I finish up, I'm going through and I'm just making different patterns and textures onto my bird so it looks like he has feathers, making him look more realistic and more fun. Complete my project, I'm going to go ahead and make up any touch-ups, double check the whole entire thing, and I'm going to wrap it up tightly. Be very careful not to smush those details that you have put